there is not a single law, a single pro-life law, including in the state of Texas, that in any way prohibits miscarriage care. If the baby is passed away, if the miscarriage has begun, even Texas law explicitly states that removing that baby and the procedure to remove the dead baby may be similar to the procedure to remove a living baby and kill that baby via elective abortion. When you're removing a dead baby, though, that is not an illegal abortion. That is a D&C procedure being used in some cases to remove a dead baby. Texas law explicitly states this. In fact, there's not a single pro-life law in the country that prohibits emergency medical care to a mother that might involve an early delivery if it's an emergency, or that prohibits miscarriage care, or that prohibits care for an ectopic pregnancy. Show me the pro-life law and I will show you where it states specifically, just in case there's confusion, that an action, a medical action in those cases is not an elective abortion and is in no way illegal in those states or anywhere in this country. That is the fact. Mm-hmm. So what Sophia Bush is doing, whether she is well-intentioned or not, I don't know her intentions, but what she is doing is she is taking stories that have been put out intentionally by the group ProPublica. So you mentioned these stories, Evia Crane, there's a whole host of other stories that are being promoted by groups like ProPublica, who do these investigative reports, and they write really long pieces, thousands of words pieces, telling these stories of these women that are just tragic, right? When they talk about how in some of these cases, the woman, maybe she's miscarrying and she's turned away at the emergency room, they checked her vitals, they said she was fine, and then they sent her home, and then the problem got worse and she went back, and then they sent her home again because they didn't understand how bad the problem was, and then she ended up dying. Maybe she came back to the hospital the third time, and then she dies. These are multiple cases like this. And then they say, well, the reason that she died is because she was somehow denied an abortion. When, first of all, ProPublica even admits they didn't interview a single person that actually cared for these women. In all of their reports, they don't have a single quote from a single medical professional who actually cared for these women who claim, oh, I didn't care for her because of abortion law.
Exactly.
No,
Good point.
The reality of what's happening here is the complications involved in misdiagnosing and, unfortunately, just poor medical care in some of these parts of, say, rural Texas, where it has nothing to do with not giving the woman an abortion. An abortion wouldn't have solved the problem anyways. Mm-hmm. It's about they didn't understand that she was getting sepsis, or they didn't understand that she was facing life-threatening bleeding, and they weren't able to care for her in the way that she needed and she deserved. Here's the truth, Allie. I guarantee you, and I know, but they don't make headline news through ProPublica, there are cases of women in pro-abortion states, like my state of California, who were given subpar care when it came to their pregnancies or their miscarriages. In fact, one of my friends recently had a miscarriage in California, and it was a partial miscarriage, incomplete miscarriage. She goes to the doctor. The doctor sends her home. She says, well, should I get a D&C to complete the miscarriage? The baby's dead. The doctor says, well, wait and see. She had an excruciating few weeks that included bleeding, that included a lot of fear and worry because she didn't get that D&C. And eventually she did get the D&C procedure. But if California was a pro-life state, ProPublica could have called it my friend and been like, she was denied care.
Yeah,
she had excruciating bleeding for weeks. It has nothing, again, to do with pro-life law.
Yeah.
It has to do with medical providers that need to do better, or just tragic cases.
Yes.
Because tragedies still strike. And, even some of these cases, Allie, and you've been very outspoken about this one, some of these cases involved, like Amanda Thurman, this bait and switch, where the pro-abortion reporter starts the story of this poor woman. She died because of pro-life laws. So they say, in this case, Amanda Thurman, it was Georgia's pro-life law that killed Amanda Thurman. You actually read the report. That's a complete fabrication. It's a lie. No pro-life law killed her. What actually killed Amanda Thurman in this particular case is she was pregnant with twins, drove to a pro-abortion state, took an abortion pill.
Without being seen by the doctor. They prescribed it to her over the phone, not even knowing how far along she was. And she was pregnant with twins. And so obviously that's going to be very dangerous.
Right, because Planned Parenthood and abortion providers, they don't care about women. They want to fast track just giving out abortion pills and sending them via the mail. That's part of their whole agenda. So she ends up getting a life-threatening infection because of an incomplete abortion from the abortion pill. She ends up getting sepsis. She goes to the hospital. They're trying to stabilize her. They're trying to treat her, and they aren't able to save her life. And then ProPublica blames that on pro-life laws. I mean, it is wild what the media is doing. It's kind of like this, Allie. Sometimes, I don't know if you've ever had this in your life, but you meet someone and they just lie about everything, but they're so convinced of their lie. They're so convinced and persuaded by their own deception, and they're basically self-deceived. It's hard to call out the lie with a person like that because they're so convinced. I think that's what we're dealing with. Some people who are so convinced that abortion is medically necessary when it isn't, and there's thousands of medical professionals who say it isn't, that they will take they will grasp at the most crazy straws. Like, they will take Amanda Thurman's story and say, it wasn't abortion that killed her, it was a pro-life law, when it is clear as day that it was abortion that actually took her twins and her life. So, we've got a lot of work to do, but